Good evening, everyone. I hope you all had fabulous days. It was such a nice fall day here in Utah. And I know some of you guys have still been experiencing, like, I think 90-degree weather. And I just have the utmost sympathy for you. And I love my seasons. They're so magnificent. What are you guys all experiencing where you are?
91.
Oh, with the humidity.
I would say around
Let's
80. It's still been cool.
80 is starting to be nice, right? Yeah. How about you, Mom, Wendy, Benny?
It was very cool and kind of rainy here today. I don't think maybe it got to 70 degrees, so
We
it was
got
kind of nice.
decently warm, like nice, comfortable warm, but we've had rain off and on as well here. Did you have quite a bit or just a little bit?
No, it was just mostly sprinkles. There may have been heavier rain in the area, but we didn't get much of it. I'm just
Benny
hoping
only
we
got
get
to
some.
72 up in Massachusetts, right? I'm just double
Yeah.
checking there. Yep.
Yeah, nice.
I believe
That's
it.
comfortable.
Yeah, but that's already approaching, starting to get, oh no, a little, right? When it hits 73, I'm like, okay, we're getting ready to be cold, but we're going to have a little warm period. Are you guys going to have a warm period, Benny? Do you know? Do you keep an eye on your forecast? What about you, Miss Wendy or Kindez? You kind of said something, Kindez, but I didn't quite hear it. Oh yeah, was it 80? You said
90s. It's been raining a lot every day been raining.
It's already getting cold there, Benny. Like, it's been nice still here at night. I don't have the uranium.
A lot of thunderstorms, and in a couple of days we watching two hurricanes coming.
Oh no, they're coming.
Hopefully it'll miss us, but they're watching it. But it's
okay. So let's go ahead and pull up Collectively Rewilding, because there are resources that you can check out if you would like to do a little bit of preparation at any point now or in your future when you're in such a location, right? It's just something that can come up for you. And so we're here in Collectively Rewilding, and we're going to jump all the way down to the bottom of our area where we're at right now, right? We're in the workshops. These are things that have active things that you can go out and do. You can go out and work on your soil. You can go out and work on a pollinator garden. You can go out and work on your prepping, your homesteading, your survivalist type mentality, whatever each person takes it to. Off-grid living. There's a lot of different words there. And so if you jump into survive or not to survive, you can definitely look at your chapters. These are a little bit more something as a little long-term preparations. There are some good things, I think, in here. It's been a second since I've spent much time in here. So no, that's not where we're wanting. Let's look over here. Okay, so if you have days, there you go. If you have days and dollars, go to the dollar store or whatever variation you have in your area. And this first list, you can get all at the dollar store and put into a small bag for each of you. Okay. And then you have wallet go bag. This one takes a little bit more effort. You probably won't quite have time to get this one now, but it's something that you can have at a moment's notice. I don't have them. Maybe I do have them on me. Let me see how I have any of my little tools. They're probably all in my bags. But so just as an example, give me 2 seconds, guys. Please feel free to talk amongst yourselves.
So Wendy, what part of the States are you in?
I'm in Miami, Florida.
Ah.
Where are you?
I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys are in a row there. Louisiana, Georgia, Florida, or is it Georgia, Louisiana, Florida? No, it's Louisiana, Georgia, isn't it?
Mississippi got to come in there too now.
Right, totally. We don't have any Mississippians that I'm aware of yet. All right, so this is one of my go bags. It can also be called a BOB, bug out bag. To bug out means that you take what you can and leave your area. Like, the flood's coming, or it's already here, or there's a fire, it can be anything. And this already has things like a sewing kit in it. It has a survival tent, right? Like one of those I don't know, is it mylar? It's almost like a mylar kind of a texture. It has probably fire making. It has a little knife. It has, I believe, still one warm item. Took a lot of them out because they were looking really uncomfortable. But so I have a lot of thread. Thread is very useful. Oh my gosh, look at that, you guys. I found my aprons. I have been looking for those all summer long. That's really handy to carry things on you. And this is like it's got floss, it's got a nail clipping kit, it's got female things, it's got a chapstick, it's got bobby pins. It's just some basic things. And those don't always get used as bobby pins, right? Like, what if you were in a flood situation and you reached high ground and there was a like little garden shed there and you had to get out of the weather, you're going to, freeze, or some bad situation, you need to use the bobby pin to kind of get in where you weren't supposed to be for one moment. I think in those situations, most people are understanding. I have some plastic bags because those can be used for a variety of things. Just some basic things that if I really didn't have anything else, I would have this. Oh, and you've been looking for that too. And that was more to go and take care of things for my daughter. I have a teeny tiny emergency kit. I have zip ties. So these are things that you can put together generally in your home that will really help if you were in a situation where you had to get out and you didn't know where you were going to end up, what kind of amenities that you would have. I have more in my car, so this isn't as tricked out as it should be, but generally I would have a water bottle right here. This is where I'm going to have like my compass and my pocket knife and a pack of cards. I always have some kind of entertainment because you want to be able to keep your mind off of worrying when you have downtime. This is a waterproof thing with a few Band-Aids, some weather resistant fire starting matches, probably a fishing kit. Gosh, there's so much that they shove into these little things, and you can buy them. And let me try to get one where you can kind of see all the colors in it. There's a lot packed into this little bitty container. And a flashlight. Those are the kinds of things that you want to just have together. For you, where you are, it wouldn't be bad if you kept it in your coat closet at the door all of the time, to be completely real with you. Do you have anything set up for yourself like that?
No.
Well, this is something really easy. I mean, at this first level, you can go to your dollar store, your Dollar Tree, your Dollar General, right?
No, I need to stock up on lighters because I have a gas stove. So if electricity goes out, I could just still use my gas stove.
Exactly. And so then, since we have a moment to prepare one of the longer ones, so you're not like up there in it, would be kind of nice too, right? Because you can get those at the Dollar Tree as well. You don't have to spend a lot of money to have some security in an emergency situation.
Got it.
Okay. And
so water and all that, dollar store.
Yes, and lightweight edibles. Things like, because this is kind of in your moment, you could get like granola bars and things. Longer term, you can look at dehydrated fruits even at the Dollar Tree, right? Some dehydrated fruits, hard candy.
It's like tuna, sardines, okay? Tuna,
sardines. Canned goods get kind of heavy for your go bag, but they're great to have stocked in your home if you don't have to leave your home and there's no supplies in your area, right? It's all levels of preparation. And I've been thinking about doing more type of a podcast for our community in the survival channel, because I ran into this wonderful magazine and I couldn't help myself. I had to just get it, the Backwoods Survival Guide. And I have just as much literature for that off-grid survival, prep, or homesteading type of mentality as I do for gardening, and as much knowledge and experience in those topics. So we are probably going to have a class for that. Does that have any interest for those of you that are here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A podcast, right?
Yes, I think.
A podcast?
Well, when you're talking to me, it's giving me the idea that it'll be generally more towards a podcast. However, I do have preps that I want to be able to show you what it looks like, how to use them, things that I can do here on the property. I always think big, and I'm like, I can't really do anything with survival until I can get my RV and I can go out there and I can show them with these, you know, materials that are going to be there to hand, where they're not just here on my residential property, and the different things like that. But I've been thinking it through, and we actually have a lot of comparable resources. I can show you what it would look like with the branches that we have and explain how it would work better on, you know, fresh branches, right? These are cut branches that have been cut for a period of time. So they don't have the same kind of sheltering effect that a fresh branch with fully greened out leaves or fir or pine needles type things, right? So it all depends in the moment. And then of course we can also take people out into the desert and show them how to do things when it's in that really hot area. Now, for where you guys are with all of the water, you know, it's a little harder for me to simulate the activities, but I can still talk about the different kinds of things that are very doable for your situation. So like flooding is something that you could have to contend with, and you may not have had time to leave where you are. So not probably for this time, maybe if you have the cash, but you can get inflatable rafts and have that in your go bag or in your secondary go bag. You know, if you
mosquitoes, protection from mosquitoes, because we have a, you know, we deal with a lot
all
of
of
that.
these things. I think that they have kits that can help if you do get bit by a snake, right? Don't you guys have water snakes that are venomous?
Oh, don't scare me. Yes.
So there are a lot of things.
I'm never going outside.
Oh, no, don't say that. Although your area terrifies me, I won't even try to lie. Florida is on my I would love to visit list. That's the end. I would love to visit. It's almost exotic. It's a little bit terrifying. And it is exotic because you have people releasing creatures into an environment that they can survive in, right? And so it does get into exotic creatures, truly exotic, not even what you should have to.
But they're really supposed to be like in an area. They're supposed to be like monitored in an area like the Everglades. That's just for them, the reservation. I don't know how they would have came here, but like we had a warning yesterday about
true disaster, right? There's going to be a mix up of a lot of things possible. It depends on the
we had a warning about a coyote. That was like, you know, lock your cats up, your dogs, because a coyote is around here in the neighborhood, you know. So it's like, what's going on here? So yeah,
we hear them every night, right? Not so much in the summer, the deep summer, but all through the fall, winter, and spring, we hear the coyotes pretty well every night. So.
Oh wow!
I'm sure that's what got my first little kitty, is the coyotes.
No, both of them, Charlie and Sam.
Yeah, but I don't think Charlie was that. I think it was I think he took off because of his leg, but
well, yeah,
I'm pretty sure Sam
he was injured, so he didn't have the ability to keep himself safe.
Yeah, that's true. So a lot of coyotes around here.
Oh wow!
They are actually in all of the nation, from my understanding. Not Hawaii, but probably Alaska, right? And I get excited. You might not get so excited. There are these new hybrid species. It's a new hybrid species, and it's a mixture of coyotes, wolves, and dogs called coy wolves. Oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, a new apex predator. I'm so excited. Character, right? I'm like, oh, I hope they come here. We need new.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when we're out of balance. Okay, so we have a global ecosystem, and then we have niche ecosystems down to teeny tiny little niche ecosystems on our own individual property to niche region ecosystems, okay? And in all of those ecosystems, there are supposed to be what is called megafauna, and that is an animal that is at least 150 or more pounds. So yes, humans relatively often can be counted as megafauna, right? But we are not the traditional megafauna. We're talking about bears, sharks, lions, mountain lions, alligators, the large apex predators. And when you lose all of your large apex predators, it's a chain effect. It affects all the other species and it puts it all out of balance, and everything has to restructure itself. So we don't replace the natural cycles of what megafauna are. That's why we don't count very well as megafauna to replace the fauna that's there. We don't act as a coyote does. We don't act as a bobcat does. We don't act as an alligator does. When that alligator dead rolls and then takes its stuff and it stashes it down and lets it rot before it eats it,
Really?
other species benefit from that activity. We're not going to do that. They're not going to benefit. So it's a cascading effect. And so we need apex predators. They're a vital part, just as our teeny tiny molds and fungi and bees, the wild bees, they're so little. They're so essential. And we can't even really estimate how essential they are until they're gone. So,
as an example, in Yellowstone, well, the wolf has been wiped out in the lower 48 mostly. And so they reintroduced wolves in Yellowstone, and they were actually the kind of wolves that were there naturally, but the wolves that they've reintroduced have reduced the elk and the deer population, which were overgrazing on the areas, and it had ruined the watersheds because there was no water retention from like snow runoff, so it was allowing soil to go down into the creeks and the rivers and stuff.
Which pollutes those as well,
and,
right?
and it
Those
pollutes
ecosystems.
those. And now the wolves have reduced those populations to more sustainable levels, and the beavers have come back, and a lot of the smaller animals that couldn't survive with the conditions like they were are now back in balance because the wolves have come back to Yellowstone. So that's a perfect example of apex predators being necessary to the ecology.
It is also an example of two things, though, right? We have to be very careful when we are doing these things. We want to do them, but we want to learn each time. And when they reintroduced a more aggressive species, that had some less desirable effects, right? But introducing an apex predator period was necessary if we had a choice about it.
Okay.
And so I just, my dogs are, one is too old to run away anymore because she used to run free. And then before she was able to run free, she would run away if she got the chance. We got her when she was about 9 months old, and she'd already had some kind of bad habits. But they go out on the front yard without any fence or any barricade or anything. We're always there with them. They don't get to go out and be out there by themselves. But when the coyotes come, I say, oh, those are the mean puppies. And I teach them to come up towards the fence. I thought it was a wild dog or a stray, or not a wild dog or stray, that's redundant, but either a stray or somebody's pet, because it looked pretty healthy to be a stray. And I stood up, I saw the cats running like they were fleeing the ship. I swear to God, I've never seen anything quite like it in person. There's a lot of stray cats here. The neighbor next door has created himself quite a little problem. And we're all trying to deal with it because we all love the cats, but we all can't really deal with the cats. They're very bad for the environment. But anyway, I can't really stand there and watch them get tormented by anything. It's the natural cycle. But my dogs were also out in the front yard, and I was there too. And I thought I was just chasing off this dog, and it was a coyote. And I had a partner that I saw afterwards, and I just yelled at it, and I was very aggressive. The coyotes are shy. They are not as dangerous. However, that's not necessarily something, you don't want to be as aggressive with a full apex predator, like a wolf or a lion. You want to be firm and calm. And I was aggressively telling it to go, but that was good with a coyote. And you're not going to probably confuse a wolf or a mountain lion with a stray dog, right? So, but we kill off and separate ourselves from nature at our own detriment. We think we're saving the planet for the planet, but if we don't save certain elements of what the functioning systems of our ecological biome are, we too may cease to exist, right? So that's what it really is. Environmentalism is a selfish act when it all comes down to it. And I'll say that again and again. Probably most of you have heard me say it already. But to get back on topic, Wendy, just to make sure that you're like thinking about it, please, since you don't have this put together, please go to the dollar store or wherever. It wouldn't be very expensive if you had to go to Walmart, right? You're talking about some pretty basic things. Gather what you already have in your home. You probably have chapstick and a bandana and maybe a little flashlight and some nail clippers, right? So just put them in the bag, cross those off the list, and get yourself something that you could depend on. Some small cosmetic things as a female that you might need if you get evacuated out of your home at a moment's notice and there's not a shelter set up with the supplies that you need where you go.
That's true. Okay.
Right?
Okay, I will. Thank you.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to tag you in this. I believe I can. Yes. Okay. And so this goes into further and further detail on the different levels that you can take it as you have more time. Why did it take your name away?
And over here, it gets really, really flooded. Like we had a hurricane a couple years ago, and you couldn't even see the difference between the lake and the parking lot and the road. Yeah,
and you don't want to drive into that, right? So that's where having that inflatable raft, might be of a benefit to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you are a homeowner, you could go to more like a canoe or even a semi-inflatable kayak or different things. They have like.
Good thing I'm on the second floor, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so there have been instances in your area of your state, at least, where people were having to evacuate in a flooded area on the second level, and having that raft would make me feel a lot more separated from whatever may be bumping underneath.
You would drive and you would see so many cars pull over in the middle of the median, and they're like stuck, and they just abandon their cars because it was like flooded everywhere. Like it was like, oh man.
And so I have a kit in my car, and I try to keep my husband's kit with the car. And I need to re-outfit our Pathfinder, our third vehicle that's actually there for our daughters as they get to that point. We were just overloaded with stuff we had to take to the thrift store. So it needs to get re-outfitted, but I always have those. And then I actually have an area in my garage. I always talk about my grandmother, right? And she had cans that were about this big that were pressure sealed and that were the stable shelf life for like 25, 30 years type from well before I was born, right? They probably are no good anymore. I still have them because I'm like, gosh, I don't know, if somebody came and they were just starving and it's that moment, I could at least give them this, you know what I mean? And hope that it still has some nutrients in it, right? It's not going to hurt them. It's just the nutrient quality deteriorate after the shelf life. But there, if you go into your local Walmart, they have a section where they keep freeze-dried, shelf-stable food that is pressure sealed, and it's got a shelf life of about 25 years, and they have clearances on it sometimes. So I know that here in Utah, I'm a little bit blessed in that regard because it's the LDS, the Mormon religion, right? It's a part of their precepts, a part of their, what would you call it, Mom? You're muted.
It's just, no, I know. It's just,
their relief
it's
society.
just something that they teach. They teach everyone that they should have a year's supply to be able to.
Two
and
is
what?
really better. I say 2 years.
Yeah,
really
but the Mormon church teaches 1 year is what they teach.
They're also teaching the principles of like gardening and stuff a lot too in the States, right? And so that's where that year supply gets you through till you can gather your produce that year.
Self-sufficiency, but yeah, that's what they teach is have a year's supply for each person in your household. So that's what they teach.
Mm-hmm. And historically, that was the norm. If you were lucky enough, if you were blessed enough to have 6 months, a year's worth of supplies, that meant that you were rich, right? So it's something that all past humanity has done, and we've just quit because we count on our grocery stores over this last 100 to 150 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shelves on the grocery stores in a true emergency will run out in 72 hours.
Wow.
That's 3 days, right? 72 hours, 3 days, they're gone. And the panic during those 3 days is not worth dealing with if you don't absolutely have to. And even if you try, you probably won't get most of the items on your list, and you may be paying an exorbitant fee for them. So
A friend that her husband will have a system, and they'll put it in a storage bin every May. That's when they'll stock up a hurricane. And then after hurricane season is over, then they'll eat up all the stuff.
that's a really good philosophy, except that I would say that you should always have some that you keep to hand. But
Yeah.
that is an amazing practice that your friend is
Yeah, so
doing.
every May we know that hurricane season starts, and then she'll start packing. And even like throughout the year, if she sees sales and it doesn't
Exactly.
expire
That's
that
what I was going
fast,
to suggest.
yeah, she'll pack in her storage bin, and then they'll be set. Don't have to deal with all that craziness when people have to, in a panic, go shop and all that. So
Exactly.
yeah.
And there are a lot of other things there. Water services shut down, right? So there's a pretty cheap bag that you can buy that you can put into your bathtub if you have a bathtub. And when you know it's possible that things like that might get shut down, you just fill that bag with water, and it's, gosh, I think it's like 50 gallons, something like that you have of potable water stored in. Clean your faucet real good, and then let enough water trickle through to clean out the cleaner, and then put that bag in there and fill it up, and you have that potable water.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of things, and that's in here. And so just out of curiosity, really, guys, speak up. Is this of interest to anyone else? I think maybe somebody else had said that they might be interested. Jenny, me. All right. Well, 3 out of, let's see, 8 of us. Okay, so that's pretty good, almost half. So we'll check that out. So did that bore the rest of you, or do you think that it's ridiculous, or do you already do it?
No, that's informative. Thank you very much.
I should have known what your response would be, Ethel. And no one
What
else?
type
No
of weather do you get in Utah?
We get the seasonal weather, so we get pretty hot summers and reasonably cold winters. There can be earthquakes. We live right next to the foothills of some hills, kind of mountains, and that can have forest fires, right? We're out of it. We're not quite in the forest, so it probably wouldn't encroach upon the town, but that's always a worry anywhere we are.
Yeah, we had forest fire. I think we had it a couple weeks ago, and it was like ash everywhere. And the Everglades is literally like maybe 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes to get there probably. And ash came way over our side. I was like, wow. Yeah. The heat,
For miles and miles if it gets big, right? So we have big forest fires over here in the West, and they can be thousands and thousands of acres, and it can cover multiple states with.
Wow. Never paid attention to stuff like that.
Well, we're each kind of really aware of our own environment. We have a subliminal awareness of what the others are, but we have to worry about how we're working through our day with that energy, with that heat, cold, wet, or dry environment is, right?
Yeah.
And yours is pretty extreme, so you better be aware of your environment. Ours is extreme too in its way, but it's my extreme, so I'm more comfortable with our extreme, I guess. The lack of water is easier for me to handle to some degree than an excess of water.
Okay. They had these things where it was like a emergency kit. I remember I was doing an internship, and it was at the 911 call center, and they showed us this packet. And one packet was kind of cool. It was like a big old straw, and you could sanitize your water.
Yeah, I think it's called a Fanny straw or something. I'm from an aqua straw, something like that.
But it's pretty
straw.
expensive. It was,
Let's just go. Yeah, they're not an easy, quick one. That's not the route that we've gone. We have water stored, and then I know the proper methods for filtration, and have a decent understanding of the overall look and feel of water. And my husband's background with chemicals and just all of that, I'm relatively confident that I could ascertain where and when I'm likely to deal with chemical issues where you can't just filter it out through natural processes, right? There's also, if you don't boil it, filtering doesn't take out like virus, pathogens, things like that, right? You want to.
That's what my mom used to do. She used to boil the water and put a drop of bleach, a little teardrop of bleach, and boil it. Yeah.
We also have stored bleach in the garage. Again, another very cheap survival supply, right?
Yeah.
And it can absolutely save your life. Water, it's air, water, shelter, food. Those are your levels. Without 3 minutes of air, you die. Without 3 days of water, you die. Without, I think they say something like 36 hours for shelter. It really has, it's a big variable. If it's, you know, freezing temperatures or exorbitantly hot over 100 degrees, you know, it changes the duration. And then your fourth being 30 days without food. So those are your levels of survival priority, right? Make sure you have adequate air, then adequate water, adequate shelter, adequate food.
Yeah.
All right. So we probably ought to jump into something that might be a little more broadly of interest. And one of the things that I wanted to talk with you guys about, no, that's not it. Oh, that's where I was working on it with Jess earlier, obviously. This must be it here. Yes. Okay. So we're going to seriously start pursuing building our Walipini in the back. I really would like to be able to start gardening, and the nearest season for me is going to be as it's getting colder, because we had other priorities, bringing back the soil, trying to move the dirt in the first place, dealing with the trees, getting more moves into the house, all of these different things. And I am just so excited about where the life is with the soil. It was absolutely successful in a few areas, not everywhere to the same level. And we do have some patches here and there that still are completely devoid of really any even weed life, right? But it's so much improvement. Already the lawn is so much better as it's cooling off and it's able to use the nutrients that I had been inappropriately providing during the heat wave, right? But those nutrients were still there, and grass just goes dormant. It's not dead typically. And so it was able to utilize those nutrients as the weather cooled down, and it's starting to return. So the focus is going to move to another area. Soon that dirt pile is going to be frozen solid, and we've been too busy keeping the watering on. I have to give myself credit where credit is due. And I'm like, why did I quit working with the dirt? Well, that's because I was keeping all of these plants alive through that process of bringing soil health and life back, right? So that was something that Tammy and I actually talked about today too. When we're trying and we look at it and it's not where we want it to be, we really need to look at what we've actually done and how much time, work, effort, thought, and investment of ourselves that was, and really recognize that we have come so far from where we started, if that's the case, right? If it's something that, right, with, okay, so Vanessa, you know, your plants didn't all do what you wanted to, but I'm guessing that this is one of your first forays into trying to have vegetable gardens in containers. Is that right?
Yes.
I thought so. And so to me, truly getting out there and starting that act without really any support, that's not something we were talking about heavily in here. I don't know how much you've had support-wise in your household and your, you know, community. It was something you just did, and you went out and you're doing it, right? That's huge success. You learned from what happened, right? We've talked about some of the lessons that your plants were telling you about here in class. And so you have those pieces of equipment now in your pots and whatever little tools that you've gotten to deal with that. Probably you have some soil that you're starting to build up. Have you started a little composting area so that you have some good compost when you're ready to do additional containers?
No, I haven't. What I've done, only not helping them or anything, but like I just get banana peels and cut them up and put them into the dirt of the plants.
that's going to have limited effect for the life of your plants in the moment. You need
It's
to
not
put
good.
something that, it's not that it's bad. It's not bad. It's not giving your plants any nutrients for at least a season. It has to decompose under the soil enough that the nutrients are soluble to the water so that the plants can intake those nutrients. Does that kind of make sense? It breaks down enough that it can be at a level that the water can be a medium for the plants to get it out of the soil.
Yes.
So have you heard me talk about the seaweed fertilizer that I'm doing?
Yeah, I remember.
That's a more
Rather than like
immediate
little,
example, right? Because it's already, seaweed is a relatively fragile plant. It's very mucilaginous. Meaning it has a lot of, I don't know if it's called mucus. I think of that as us, but it's got this gelatin quality to so much of it that it's very, very water-based in nature. And so when it dries out, most of the plant is gone, and the parts that are left are very fragile. So it breaks down very readily in water when it's reintroduced to a water. And so those nutrients are relatively readily grabbed by your plants because they're so broken down already in comparison to a chunk of any kind of fruit or vegetable. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Another thing that you can do if you want to use something like banana peels, I've never tried it. I've heard it lauded and I've heard it completely dismissed, is you can take things like a little bit of coffee grounds, a little bit of eggshells, some banana peels, kind of whatever you would maybe put into a compost heap within reason. Nothing too stringy or it's going to mess up your blender. Don't put like celery or green onions in, probably, because that's got too much fiber.
I should have the coffee grounds in there
I'm sorry,
too.
say it again. Yes, and those are more readily available than the banana peels, but not nearly as readily available as the seaweed.
But I would do that basically because I heard they're good for like bugs, to keep the bugs away and stuff.
I'm not familiar with that particular use of coffee grounds. Coffee grounds are very good for your soil, but you don't want to put too much in. Too much of anything is not good, right? So coffee grounds should be, like my husband, he could throw coffee into our compost every single day, but it would be too much. So I only have him put 1 or 2 of his daily coffee grounds into the compost. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And so you can take those things though, and you can add some water in like a blender and blend them up really, really fine, just until it's like a watery sludge. And then you probably want to move back your mulch because it's not gonna look very pretty. And in fact, do what is recommended for the seaweed, probably set it outside. It's gonna be stinky, so set it outside and let it kind of heat up and break down further over a couple of days, 2-3 days, maybe a week. If it's not too right here now, if I wanted it to be warm, I need to set up something to keep it warm.
And keep it covered, right? Because the flies and, you know.
I do it at such large amounts, it's kind of hard for me to keep it covered. If you are doing it on a smaller amount, yes, the flies are no fun around my seaweed operation. I promise you that. That's no joke, right? When Jay's like looking at fly straps and all these, or fly strips, and I'm like, no, if they're in the house, we have a fly swatter. Those are disgusting. I'm sorry, I don't like them. And outside, that's where they belong. So we're just gonna, have to figure it out. But I don't know. There may be some fly strips that I don't know about that somewhere are hung up. I wouldn't be surprised, right? So flies are yucky. They're not fun. So it will be drawn. Flies will be drawn to it. Yes. I apologize. Got a little sidetracked there by the threat of fly strips in my future. All right. So we're going to be looking into, I don't know why it was there. I had it on a surface. Okay, I don't know why you keep doing this to me. I went to a place. You're supposed to remember my place. It kept it for me for months. And then all of a sudden it stopped holding what I wanted it to hold, and that is reclaimed windows, right? And so it finally has my actual location. I changed it a bunch of times and it never had it, but see, around this area, this is obviously a good place to check out here. There's also a little bit more solid pieces like this here, right? So, or this, which I think that this one is iffy, right? $6 for these stupendously nice looking windows. I don't know about that one. These, right? $22. This looks great. Like, this is probably where we should just go. And so that's how you can look for windows if that's what you want to do with a greenhouse or a Walipini, to keep down on costs, to keep things from going in the landfill. And you can paint them, whether you paint them all like some very nice manicured kind of a color with your beiges or blues or, you know, tans or reds, greens that match your house, something like that. Or you're a little more eclectic and you like all the color, like obviously I will probably be doing, if I can talk my husband into, some bright, happy pastel colors all over that kind of keep you in mind of flowers in the garden all year round, right? Of course, for resale value, then if we needed to cover up all my bright happiness, then we could, you know, make it a little more monochrome and maybe white with some yellow, light yellow, to match our house or something, right? And so you have all of these fabulous options. And there are so many more resources online than there were even just a year ago when I researched this. People are really starting to do this. I've wanted to do it for 10 years at least. I love it. This is more for a small greenhouse, but it had a products list in it, which I really, a materials list, which I really liked. And it's good to compare against what we were thinking about for doing our Walipini, right? And even when I researched this in this house, I could hardly find any literature. And now there are so many amazing documents out about it now. I can't even remember how I meant to say that, but that was all mixed up. The truth about Walipini and geodesic dome greenhouses. Like, I can't wait to tear into this one because it sounds like it's trying to be perhaps a little negative. And so I always want to see the counters and see if there's any merit to their arguments, right? Sunken greenhouse, Walipini greenhouse, 4,500 for their estimate, and theirs is quite a lot larger. I'm guessing it's this portion of it right here, right? There's the home or the shed or workhouse, something like that. Really neat. They put in something completely different from what Tammy and I were talking about. This was something that Tammy and I were talking about in connection to the article that you shared, Mom, about the gentleman from Brazil who created the recycled system for
Hot water.
Right.
to heat the property. And that's just, no, to keep it cool. Which was it? I can't remember.
It was for hot water.
Yeah. Okay. And so the sun passive solar intake, right, I'm guessing heats the water
Right.
as it circulates through the system and everything. And so for anybody interested that wasn't here with that class, we found the documents and they're linked to that article now so that you can get into the actual manual. You'll have to do a little bit of work with Google Translate because the document itself is in English, but the diagrams are in, I think, Kendez said Portuguese, and I'm thinking he's probably correct there. And so this is something a little bit differently worded. I'm guessing it's a similar kind of a premise, right?
So what that one was, Sabrina, is that if you dig down far enough in your soil, it gets to a level where it's a certain temperature maintained throughout the year.
Which was what Tammy and I were talking about, but it had the diagrams looked quite different from this arrangement. So that's why I was guessing, yes. So it actually works both year round, right? Both seasons for your heat and your cooling. You put these the pictures that she and I were looking at, it looks more like air than water. I don't know if it would work for air. It's when I've heard of it, it's always been water. Do you know if there's any air filtration type systems that work in a similar capacity?
Not that I'm aware of.
Exactly.
Everything that I've heard and seen is it's water.
Air would be so nice, right? It would be so much less difficult and keep from causing structural damages and things like that. Water is always so problematic, but this is at least somewhat like the heating that you had in your last house, right?
Right. We had a boiler and
Okay.
pipes running through. It was a concrete slab, and we had pipes running through the slab, and the hot water went through the pipes, and that's how we had our heat through the floor. So, yeah.
So there's lots of fun things that can be done with that type of thought process, right? And so there's so much out there. Now, they left the inside more unfinished than several of them that I've seen recently, and I like being able to see that. I haven't gone through any of these articles. That's why they're all pulled up. I'm going to be working through them so that I can really further and further formalize what we're going to do and figure out the cost and what we want it to be like. Interesting, right? I have to check all of these different things that they've got out there. There's so much more now to be able to study, to make better informed decisions. I had to create a lot of these thoughts without a lot of detailed explanation from people who had done it before, similar to like what we've talked about with rewilding. You read the articles about people who've rewilded their yards, but for folks that don't know how to do something like that, it's very daunting. And there aren't really any step-by-step guides out there to do that. So the Walipini has gotten much better in that regard. Of course, greenhouses have always been pretty easily grabbed. Now, this is, again, a greenhouse, but the principles will still apply, so I want to check it out. They were actually linked in. This is the Mother Earth News, right? I'm so excited. I finally got my new ones. I had to, oh, nope, it's over here too. I had to go around and around and around town till I finally found it when they put it out. It was the same stores, but I just had to keep going around because it was already supposed to have been out for a week, and they only put out so many, and I wanted my copy. So I got it. I got my backwoods survival guide, and that was just like, okay, so I have to kind of introduce a topic for that one as well. And so this is a earth sheltered, energy efficient greenhouse. And so I'm guessing, again, I pulled it up at Mother Earth News recommendation, that this is going to have a similar kind of concept, but they're not going to provide us any pictures. So that's less useful for our purposes right now. So this is what our focus is going to be over the fall season, right? We're going to try to get it in and usable before the full winter hits, so that, funny enough, the first fruits and vegetables that we tried to grow here on the property will be in the coldest part of the year. So neat about Gardenary, with her whole business model, getting you to see that you can take, if your business is seasonal, getting you to look at the fact that you can take it out of just the traditional seasons, whatever those seasons may be, right? So lots going on. So good to hear from all of you. Very, very fun class, guys. Totally not where I expected it to go. I thought we were going to tear through the Walipini information a little bit more, and there's generally a lot of questions around it, even though we've covered it a little bit. It's a less common topic, right? And so that's kind of what I had thought tonight's class would be centered around. And sure enough, that's why I love working with people in a collaborative effort, because no matter what we call ourselves, we can learn so much from each other, right? It's just so amazing. And that's where this community is really of so much value. And what Jess and I talked about today, that really we as a species, we feel like we're separated from nature, but we too are natural beings. And there are certain physiological components of our being that we are neglecting when we don't interact with other people and when we don't interact with the natural world around us. It actually affects our physical, mental, and usually our spiritual. If we even are, I believe atheists are the ones that just don't believe in it at all. That's our connection with the universe, right? We're denying a connection with the natural forces that are a part of our body when we don't interact in a way that our bodies were designed to do. We have evolved over millennia, and when we evolved with all the systems around us. And that goes for the microbes in the soil, as well as to our friends, family, and physical social community. Our body is designed to interact with these things, and we don't do that anymore. And that's really only been for about the last 50 to 75 years, because we always would go to things like church and brotherhoods and social settings like sewing circles for women, or book clubs, or different types of bowling, right? Bowling is slowly losing traction. All of these different things that meant community, all of these different things that brought us into the outside world, at least for portions of time, if not lengthened periods of time, for outdoor sports and outdoor activities, barbecues in the backyard with our friends and family and neighborhoods, and going and sitting at the park and participating in whether it's a fireworks event or a car show, or, you know, doing all of these things. Our bodies are depleted. And so when we come back and start interacting with other people and with other parts of our natural environment, even if it's to put a single pot on the windowsill for Miss Charity, a single pot on the windowsill. She and I talked about that, right? She wasn't in that class when we talked about how she could, you know, interact even now with where she's working on different things for herself. If she is uncomfortable doing much outside, she can still have that interaction with nature, which would necessitate her opening up those curtains and getting that sunlight on her own skin as well. And so it's just amazing to me that we try so hard to act as though we ourselves are not nature. There is nothing that is not nature, even if it's from outside of our solar system, if it comes from an asteroid or anything of a solar nature, it is still, yes, what it is, solar in nature. And denying nature, we do so at our own detriment, and a part of nature for social species, horses, chimpanzees, honeybees. So yes, people, that is a part of our social biology, our physiology. All of these words incorporate elements that we deny when we deny the nature inside ourselves. And so that's what we're diving into, right? So let's just jump over here to our calendar, action word oriented there. And our brand new class, we didn't get a chance to talk about it tonight, and I do have to get going so that I can get everything ready for Miss Tammy over in LH2, but let's quit together. I hope you all are doing well. Jay's doing so well. I wish that he would be able to be here for that event, but that was when I could squeeze it in, and he will still be at work. And so I hope that you all are doing wonderfully, and hope to see you tomorrow for that fun, new, upbeat way of trying to replace something we no longer desire in our lives with something more engaging and positive and fruitful. And health conscious is almost negative term in our society. So I want to focus on so much more than the don't do this, it's unhealthy. Yes, it is unhealthy. We're well aware, but let's focus on what we're going to do instead, right? Let's focus on the positive. Let's support each other, and let's quit together. I really believe that this could be a positive thing for us and for a lot of other people as well. There are people that are participating here in the community. Sometimes it's hard for me to remember that, but I see signs of it. There are people that participate with our community that don't ever actually say anything. And we never know how many other people will follow our journey and join along with us, and maybe it will benefit their lives as well, right? So, you know, I would have said that you could join in, Mom, but you pretty much eliminated all of it. You don't read that much anymore. You don't do football obsessively. So I guess you get an out, and you Miss Ethel too. I think you guys get a pass for tomorrow's session.
We might dibble in every once in a while to see what you guys are up to.
You're always welcome. All right, guys. So tomorrow, 2 o'clock p.m. Pacific, 3 o'clock p.m. Mountain, 4 o'clock p.m. Central, and 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern. Hope you guys get a chance to join in, and I hope you're doing well with your quitting, no matter whether you're able to join or not. We're here, we're doing it together. Let's do this. Let's save our own lives and have so much more fun doing anything we're doing, because it's just going to be so much more free for those of us who have actual, bad chemical habits, from alcohol to cigarettes to vaping and things, right? Or one of my worst habits ever, I used to read 7 full-size novels a week, and that was hard. So please feel free to unmute yourself and say goodnight, everyone.
Sabrina,
Thank you.
What was that, Vanessa?
can I add something real quick, a little off
Oh,
topic?
please.
But the mosquitoes are really bad over here, and I don't like using the chemicals. I did the offense stuff, but I still got bit by mosquitoes. But I learned this trick. It's natural. It's you use a little bit of water, or you use some water and some vanilla extract, and it works. I haven't got bit since I made that, and it's all natural. And
Do you leave it out? Do you put it on like a few spots on your body? How do you use it?
I have it in a spray bottle, and I just shake it up before I use it. I leave it out. I don't refrigerate it or anything. I leave it outside, and when I go outside, I just spray myself, and I don't have to worry about the dogs or anything, because I didn't like spraying, or because I usually sit on the porch when I take the dogs out, and it's worked so good. I mean, I have not got bit by mosquito since I've started
That's
using that.
amazing. I've
Yeah.
never heard of that method. Thank you for sharing that with us, Vanessa.
Because I've used off and everything, and I've still got bit and everything. And then I heard that. I said, well, it's worth a try, but it worked. I mean, it worked for me. But it's amazing. So I just thought I'd tell you guys, if y'all have bad mosquitoes, try that. Some vanilla extract and water.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, Benny says that's awesome, Vanessa. That really is wonderful. Thank you.
Most definitely.
Right? Especially over where you guys are. Mosquitoes are everywhere, but I remember going to see my grandfather in Texas, and it's a whole nother story over there in those parts, right? All right, guys. Well, you all have a wonderful rest of your week. Thank you for coming in and talking with me this evening.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Good night.
You ever have good evening.